Hello, my most amazing 3G artists. Today we're going to draw a picture of a couple of old books that I found in my collection. I love collecting old books. Classics are my favorite. And there's a couple books here that I set up and took a photo of to show light and shadow. And I want you to think about those lanterns that you drew before winter break. Those were like a cylinder shape, and you guys did such a great job. I was totally impressed with your drawings. So today we're going to draw with pencil again and really focus on light and shadow, but we're using objects that are shaped not in a cylinder, but a rectangular prism. So I'm going to need you to gather a couple things. You're going to need a white piece of paper to draw on, a pencil and an eraser, and you'll probably want a straight edge or a ruler so that you can draw those straight lines more precisely. All right, I also want to encourage you to look on Seesaw in the announcements tab to see if you can find this photo. It'll probably be good for you to look at the photo while you're drawing your picture, but you also will want to watch the video that I make of myself drawing it. So if you can have both things going at the same time, that's awesome. If not, you can choose to either look at the picture and draw it yourself or watch the video and draw it along with me. All right, let's get started. All right, so I'm looking at that photo of the books and I'll be drawing that on this paper. And I want to remind you and encourage you that it's okay if your drawing doesn't look just like mine. And if my drawing doesn't look just like the photo, that's okay too. We're practicing and we are getting to be better at using shadows and light. So that's my goal for you today. All right, so put your paper the vertical direction, the tall portrait direction, and then put some guidelines in for yourself. So like down at the bottom, we're going to want to kind of center the books. And so one corner will be here and the other one will be over here. So I'm just kind of thinking about, like if you divided this into thirds, that would be like there. And so that's about where you want to put some guidelines. So the first book's corner will be right here. So I'm just drawing a little V shape. And then this will kind of slant up here. And then I'm going to put a little corner there. Let's see. This will slant back here, probably about 1/4 of the way up the paper. So when you think about this corner to this corner, think about half of that, and then take that half and think about half of that. And that's about where this corner of the book will be. And let's see. You can start by drawing a line. Just kind of draw them light and sketchy so that you can erase it if you need to. And then this will probably need to go up about to there. So you can draw a straight line between those two spots, like straight up and down vertical. And then, let's see, you're gonna want another vertical line going from this corner up to here, but it's not going to be quite as tall as this corner. Actually, as I look at the picture, I kind of took it at an interesting angle. It's a slightly higher than this corner. So I'm going to put a little guideline a little higher. All right, and then I'm going to draw another vertical line from this corner straight up. Now, the thing that will make this more successful is if you really get these vertical lines straight. You want to get them straight up and down. Okay, now let's see. I'm just going to sketch this line here. This is the bottom, like the spine of the book. This is a pretty thick book, this one. This is the Complete Collection by Oscar Wilde. And so it's a very thick book. And then I'm going to go straight up. This will probably come right in line with this one. So I'm gonna put this here. Make sure it's nice and vertical. And draw a light line there. All right, it's already starting to look like the shape of a book. All right, so now let's see. The second book goes up a little taller. So I'm just gonna sketch that in right there. And then sketch the spine. There's the spine on the bottom. I got a little bit off. All right, and then I gotta go straight up and down again for this side of the book. All right, so that's the second book. This is... Okay. All right, now we gotta draw the top. So this one is pretty straight across here. And then it comes slightly down like that. And then the other book goes straight up from here. And then there's more of a slant right here. All right, so I'm just freehanding those. Okay, so now before you draw anything else, look at those lines that you drew and make sure you get a feel for whether it looks believable. Is there any line that you need to erase and fix? I'm just kind of changing a few of my corners here, but that's just a little detail. All right, I think the angles look pretty good. Okay, now I'm also gonna put in my horizon line, which is like the back wall. All right, so that's gonna be probably, I'm just gonna take my ruler and put it horizontally right about there. And I'm just gonna draw a line on this side of the books and then skip over the books and draw the other line there. So now they don't look like they're floating in space. All right, now I am going to start shading some things in. And we also will need to draw a shadow. Okay, so I'm going to explain. The light source was coming from this side, over on the right. And it was shining, the brightest spot is right here. And then the shadows are on the spine, like those are darker. And then there's a shadow over here because the light source was coming from here and it casts a shadow on this side. So I'm going to fast forward and just start sketching and filling in, but I want you to really notice where the light and the shadows are. And you don't have to put quite as much detail in your drawing as what's in the photo, but the more detail you add, the more successful your drawing will be. So I'm just going to be drawing in my shadow first. It's kind of a weird shadow back here. Little angle like that. And the darkest parts that I can see in my picture, I'm gonna wanna press really hard and then blend it. I remember that with the lantern, that you can take your finger and rub it so that it gets really smooth looking. All right, here we go. Okay, as you can see, I'm getting to the part where I'm going to be coloring this side. And I want to remind you that this side right here is where the light is shining. So this is going to be the lightest part of our book. Just like when you did the boxes for the project where you shaded in 3 different shades for the boxes. We did a light, a dark, and a medium. So I want to remind you that this side will be the lightest, and then we'll have kind of a medium shade on part of the spine, and then we have the darkest part over here in the shadow. There's also, like, if you see the photo, this book has a bent spine. So it's almost like there's a line down the middle of it like this, and everything to the left of that kind of fold is pretty dark. Like, I'm gonna lay my pencil down and really lay down some thick pencil here and rub it with my finger to get this part pretty dark. But then you'll see that this side is a little bit lighter. So that'll be the medium tone. And this part on the front will be the lightest tone. I really want you to get that part of this drawing correct, so that you can really see that the light source makes a difference in how dark you color something in, and which sides get the shadows and which sides get the highlights. Okay, now that this part is colored in, I'm going to use my finger and really try to kind of press hard and blend this dark part. And then I'm going to remember how you can take your finger and just kind of put some of that in the light part over here, so you don't even have to use your pencil too much. So I'm going to keep rubbing with my finger really hard and then moving some of that over to the light part. And you can do that on this medium part of the spine also. Now this part over here, this book is pretty dark also. So I'm going to start adding some more pencil there as well. There is a lot of detail in the photograph that I'm going to be skipping just because we don't have time to do all the little detail, and I want this to be more of a practice exercise. But if you really want to like slow it down and look at the photo and try to get like the stripes, you know, I did put in some of these stripes, get in the stripes and try to get in maybe some of the lettering or the words, you know, feel free to do that. I'm not going to do that much detail on my drawing. And the further you go towards the left side, the darker it should be. So it'll be darkest on the left and a little bit lighter on the right. Okay, now let's look for where some of the highlights are that we can add in with our eraser. So I am noticing on the very corner of this book, the edge here, that there's a worn out kind of edge and a white highlight there. So I'm just going to take my eraser and put that back in. Okay. And then a little bit on the top edge as well. You don't want to erase your line completely, but you want to kind of see where those highlights should go. You can see a little bit up here too. And on this corner. Now the only other thing is if you want to add a little bit of pencil to the table just to make it look not so glowing white, I would just take a little bit there and then really rub it with your finger so you don't see any of those lines. It just looks kind of shadowy. Okay. Make sure this shadow is nice and dark. You might have to go over that again. Try not to show the different, try not to put your pencil in too many different directions. And if you do, then just rub it until that part kind of disappears. You can also take your dirty finger and just get the background a little bit too, so that it doesn't look so bright white. Now I know in the photo the background is darker up there and there's a kind of a weird shadow up there, but I don't think I want to add that in. Let's see. And I know that there's some fancy kind of lines in the front of this book here, but that's a detail I don't want to spend time on today. So I think that's it. I just really want you to understand the light side, the medium part of the spine, the darker part of this spine, and then the dark shadow over here. I feel like I probably should get this book a little bit darker. So I'm going to just finish up by adding a little more pencil to this book since it's kind of in the shadow, and then rubbing that in. But then I think I'll be done. There we go. All right, I hope that you enjoy drawing your books, and if you could please take a picture of your drawing, take a photo, and respond to the activity on Seesaw by posting your photo, then I can give you a grade. All right, be on the lookout for all things BEA-utiful.